Hello, Lena from Kairos Creature Club. How are you?
I'm great, Kurt. Thank you.
I'm doing great too. So my thesis is gonna be involving an academic concept called rhetorical listening. It's a term concept coined by the scholar Krista Radcliffe, whose work tackles issues of stuff like anti-racism and feminism in classroom settings, but she also goes into great detail with social context, and she basically encourages more listening to each other instead of just so heavily focusing on writing. But I want to take her work to the next level because I love music, and I find that there's quite a few similarities between the songwriting process, I imagine, and the regular conventional writing the story or essay. With that said, I'm not going to ask you super academic-y questions. I just wanted to ask a few questions that are both musical and like philosophical related.
Sure, fun.
My first question is, I know that Kairos is defined as the timeliness of an argument from my rhetoric and composition program. And I've come back to that concept of Kairos quite a bit. My first question is, what inspired you all to include the Kairos in your band name?
Well, it actually it goes back to my solo project that I started back when I was living in Seattle in like 2013, and I was really looking hard for the right solo moniker, and I had like a really specific vision of what I wanted the name to feel like, which was like a young ancient Egyptian ruler looking out, like whose father was the pharaoh or something, and they're coming into possibly prematurely a position of power, and they're looking at their domain, I suppose, on like early in the morning before they're supposed to like be entered into this position of power or something. So it felt like Kairos, which is not Egyptian but Greek, as you know, I'm sure, embodying this feeling of opportune moment, or coming into something, or choosing wisely when to release something, when to say something, when to, I don't know. It felt like the name embodied that feeling, and I also I really like the idea of quality of time versus chronological time. And how it became part of this project, Kairos Creature Club, was just taking my solo project name, putting it next to Glenn's stage name, stage moniker, and then creating a club around it.
I'm not. Oh, shoot. Okay, I'll just go in order.
Yeah.
Okay. So part of my focus as well for my multimedia master's thesis involves the collaborative aspect of writing text. Because even if we don't directly acknowledge it, we're all constantly inspired by others who've come before us or taught us, whether with any sort of action in life. And in our case, I first heard of your music by reading that Lucas Harwood from King Gizzard contributed bass to your Join the Club EP. What was it like collaborating and co-writing some of the EP with a member of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard? Like, how did you guys make that happen, or who reached out first?
Well, I was in a band previous to this one called La Luz, and we toured in Australia in 2017 as part of the Giz Fest thing, like traveling circus that they used to do back then, which is also how I know Leah. That's when we met, was on that tour, that crazy tour. So yeah, we traveled across the world and met with the Gizzard guys and Leah Senior and Orb and all of these other amazing Australian bands, and we all just got to spend an entire month together, which was really fun, and had a great time. Just got to know each other pretty well, and Lucas and I kind of hit it off the most, I think, and we just kept in touch. And over the pandemic, we were writing this EP, and there were a couple songs. I was like, I feel like Lucas would write a really cool bass part for these songs, and we just digitally sent them to him over email, and without a bass track or anything, and he sent back what you hear. So it was great. Everything that he did was like spot on, and now our guy Matt is recreating them live.
That's so kick-ass.
Yeah.
This is so bass. He's the one guy from the band that I've been able to slide in the DMs and talk to so far.
Yeah,
and
they're all really sweet, but
it's my ultimate goal for the movie is to get to interview one of them. or meet them. I digress. Oh my god, I wish I could have been to the Giz Fest too, down under.
I know, I don't think they're not doing it anymore. It's a lot of work, but yeah.
Might it take on the form of their mini residency tours now?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, next question. Speaking of Kairos, my friends in the South Florida-based band The Creature Cage recently helped you put on a double creature feature
Yeah, that's
at
right.
some of your shows earlier this month, and they'll also be tentatively featured in this project in some capacity. And I think that in itself speaks to the kairotic and collaborative nature of all of our work here as musicians and music lovers. Mm-hmm. On top of that, Krista Radcliffe wrote, quote, that rhetorical listening turns hearing, which is a repetition process, into invention, which is a production process. What was it like touring with a younger band that makes music in the same vein or approach that you guys do?
With the Creature Cage?
Yeah. What's that like symbiosis like between bands like The Creature Cage who are just starting out and slightly more established groups like Kairos Creature Club?
I mean, in a sense, I feel like I think Kairos Creature Club is also kind of a baby band. You just play locally as much as you can, but not too much, because you want people to return more and more, and like you said, repetition. That is definitely like writing earworms, so that people like walk away from the show and like, oh, I'm gonna remember that one, and they come back 3 weeks later and you hear that song again, and it just gets better and better. Or like when you put a record on that you really like, every time you hear it, it feels like it makes sense a little bit more. You listen to it again and again. The Creature Cage is awesome. We've played with them, I think, once before as well. In Miami, I think it was actually the same bill. I think it was Frankie and the Witch Fingers, us, and the Creature Cage at Gramps, but like a year apart or something. 2 years apart, maybe. So yeah, they're great. They're a great band. I really like them a lot.
I got to see Frankie and the Witch Fingers here in Orlando earlier this month, and I spoke to Nikki Pickle and Dylan Sizemore, and I actually have a couple questions later.
Cool.
About their music as well.
Oh, cool.
But I want to keep this going.
Sure.
Because got some time, and How would you describe the symbiotic relationship you share with your audience and fan base, whether they come to your shows as fans or they come with fresh ears?
We find that the music that we make is maybe a little bit like more unconventional than most, which I think, Gizzard fans understand.
Yeah, definitely.
Where the sequencing of an album or a set might vary song to song, like the genre of each song might be totally different from the song that you just heard. But when you think about like the Beatles, even like they did that too, where they would have an acoustic folk song next to a Helter Skelter or something, you know. But I think that as an audience member, it can be refreshing, and people like not knowing what to expect to a certain degree. So as we're playing, we often see that people gather, like maybe they're not sure about whether or not they're going to like us, and then they kind of start to gather in the center of the room, and oftentimes they're not moving, which as a player is sometimes a little bit like, do they like it? I don't know if they like it.
Right.
But I think they're really just digesting
Yeah.
all of the sound and rhythm and harmony that's going on, and it is a lot. I do admit it can be a lot, but it's cool to hear people talk to us after the show and just be like, whoa, I had no idea what to expect. I'd never heard you before, but people being really excited about it. So, you know, we just do our job and hope that people like it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty similar question here. Krista Radcliffe, in her advocacy of rhetorical listening, dares us to, quote, choose to listen also for the exiled excess and contemplate its relation to our culture and ourselves. Lena, what are your thoughts, if any, about the relationship with your audience and listeners who find community through your music in these otherwise alienating times?
Yeah, I think that music is always a something that brings people together, whether it's even remotely creating a community of fans, of like-minded people who can bond over just liking the same band. And we also throw a music festival in Jacksonville, and it's really amazing to see the relationships that people build with complete strangers after just coming to Jacksonville to watch, you know, the OCs or Blonde Redhead, or discover a new local or regional Florida band. And a lot of people have come back and said, like, I met my best friend 3 years ago at this festival. And music is the ultimate gatherer, I think. Music
Absolutely.
and fire, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and songs can mean completely different things to every single person. So I tend to write things that are maybe a little bit more ambiguous or cryptic, not necessarily on purpose, but there are people that can write, like Leah Senior, that can write songs that are more honest, I think, more open and honest, and people can relate to those in one way. And for our songs, maybe it's you just interpret it differently. Yeah.
I was just talking to my thesis chair earlier today, and I told her that they always say a picture's worth 1,000 words, but a song or a poem's like 1,000 pictures. Because all the ways people interpret it into their personal lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
That really, really
with that.
resonates.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk some of your band's songs now, finally, if you still got time.
Yeah.
I was wondering, when the sun goes down, you implore your listeners to do some remembering while reminiscing on past experiences and realizing or reckoning future ones. At least that's what I got from listening to the song over and over.
Yeah.
Well, since dropping the Join the Club EP and your self-titled debut album, what sorts of lessons have you and your bandmates learned by working together in the songwriting process, or as you go further into the music industry?
Wow, so many things come to mind. Well, I guess to talk about the songwriting process and to kind of loop back into the collaboration aspect of that process. This, for the self-titled album that we just came out with, that was mostly fueled by my working relationship with Glenn, and us fusing our ideas together. There's a lot of, like, I'll have a portion of a song and I won't know what to do with the rest of it, and I'll just hand it over to Glenn. She'll finish it. She'll have something to do with it, or we'll be writing a bass part, and I'll write the verse, and then I hand it over to Glenn, and she writes the chorus, and everything is Frankenstein and kind of like woven together. So I think that we learned a new way of collaboration where you don't have to necessarily send a somewhat finished song to Lucas Harwood, for example. It's like, just the bass part's missing, just write a bass part. But instead be like, here's something that's completely unfinished, and I have no idea where it's going, and I'm going to hand it to you with an open mind and an open heart, and see what you have to offer, any kind of changes to it, or see how it grows and shapes. And you come back maybe more inspired, and you finish it a different way than you thought you would.
Love that. Wow. On the KCC album, I noticed that songs like Strangers and Exile share the same sense of alienation that Leah Sr. sang about or touches upon on her latest album, The Music That I Make. Mm-hmm. And on Strangers particularly, there's a sense of longing or desire for belonging,
yeah,
while looking over the ocean, and that I noticed thematically lines up with the last couple of tracks on another Leah Senior album, The Passing Scene. How much has Leah Senior's creative output influenced the band when you all go through the creative process?
I've never written with Leah before. We are planning to record a song with her in a couple of days. Well, just capture her music. But I've been a fan of hers for a while. Her songs have definitely been on rotation in some playlists. And being on tour with her, I watch her show every night. I don't miss it ever. I think she's an incredible storyteller and musician, and Jesse as well, and his guitar playing and piano playing. Both of them are incredible musicians. But I really just love the visual elements of the storytelling, and it's like a visual sandwich where you'll get like something you can see immediately in your mind's eye, and then you get some emotion behind it, and more context as the song goes on. There's a lot to relate to in all of her lyrics.
She really
so I find that really inspiring.
Yeah, she really is like a conjurer of visions with your songwriting.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad you let that flow out of you right now.
Yeah, she has a song that she'll probably play tonight. It's a new one about like beach houses, that they're building a bunch of beach houses in the town that they live in, and I've always had this thought. I've always lived in coastal cities, and I've always felt like beach culture is kind of the same everywhere, because everybody wants that like beachfront property. The same types of people are brought together by this kind of vacation atmosphere, and how when you're not a vacation, you're actually living full time in this place. How kind of off-putting that can be. It's just viewing your home as a temporary space. So that's what her song talks about. I just immediately related to that.
I grew up in a town called Oceanside in California, about 3 miles away from the beach.
Mm-hmm. So you understand.
Yeah, that also personally resonates with me and my own connection with the vast beyond of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So much of it's been undiscovered still.
Oh my God, I know. It's kind of scary and cool. I love it.
Mind-blowing.
Yeah.
All right, on another KCC track, Deleuzian, you allude to the famous French philosopher Gilles Deleuze, who's perhaps best known for interpreting the concept of the body without organs in the book Capitalism and Schizophrenia, which he co-authored with Felix Guattari. As a scholar myself, I was wondering, how did that track come about, if you don't mind me asking?
That one, came from Glenn's brain, so I don't know how well I can touch on that one, but I know that you are completely correct in the Deleuze being I didn't realize it was a body without organs. Is that the definition?
It's one of those philosophical phrases. It's hard for me to explain because I'm not French.
Yeah.
And I couldn't finish reading that book, but
Yeah. But yeah, she's definitely, they're touching on, I guess, maybe more specifically a body without a brain. If you're gonna pinpoint an organ,
the
is
Frankenstein.
yeah, maybe someone that's floundering, kind of like trying to make excuses for their actions and kind of spiraling down a rabbit hole of madness.
Yeah, I've been there before, for better or worse.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Bringing it back to Frankie and the Witch Fingers. I've been spinning their latest album, Data Doom, and on their albums, a couple of songs off of your album reminded me of that whole concept album. Doom Funk and Data da 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 da.
Yeah.
Like all throughout both of those albums, you guys go about tackling serious issues like automation cleverly, and I even noticed that data shares the same sort of simulated or automated repetition that's incorporated in the Data Doom track Sister System, Doom Boom, and Future Phobic. With all of that said, how much have Frankie and the Witch Fingers and concerns of automation and enhanced dystopia at large influenced Kairos Creature Club's music?
I think that we're all kind of experiencing this growth of AI and, self-driving cars, like all of these things. I think it's more of a universal feeling of questioning and maybe fear of where this is all going, but definitely questioning. And I think we're maybe not necessarily influencing each other so much, but just kind of on the same wavelength of philosophically how we're interpreting these new technologies and how we feel about them. But yeah, they're just good friends of ours and big fans of their music, amazing performers as well. But I think it's maybe just coincidence that we're all kind of just thinking about this, you know? What's AI gonna do? I heard they're actually, Sony has like procured a whole bunch of music libraries that they're going to try and create some AI music out of these libraries, which is the last thing that we want, but I don't think it'll be good music.
That's so interesting because of course King Gizzard again, they touch on that, and they even have a new distribution record label that alludes to all of that, called P Doom, or Probability of Doom Records, which is a concept that ties into some sort of mathematical probability about where and when artificial intelligence is going to overtake humanity and destroy us.
Yeah. Exactly.
Very concerning.
Yeah.
And another rabbit hole to fall under.
Absolutely.
You guys happen to be based out of Jacksonville, like another psychedelia tinged band I got to interview called Killer Larry. They opened for Frankie and the Witch Fingers earlier this month. And I'm just curious, have you shared a lineup with them?
We have, yeah. We played with them not too long ago, earlier this year, for sure. They're great. They're a really awesome, very excited young performers. They bring a crowd. They have the energy. I think much like Frankie's crowds, they really people are sweating after they watch these guys. But they're a really, really great band. would love to play with them again.
I asked them during my interview with them if Gizzard offered to take them on to another Giz Fest. They all said yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I just had to do it.
Yeah.
I'm almost done.
No, I'm so sorry.
It's all good, Noah. All right, last couple questions. And again, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Lena, seriously, this means so much. How much of an influence does Florida's culture or natural scenery, like the environment, influence you all?
In a strange way, it does. I find it. I find Florida to be a bit isolating sometimes.
Yeah,
I
I do as well.
grew up in Los Angeles, so you're also in Southern California, and which is much more of a music industry metropolis. So I think sometimes I kind of struggle with the isolation of or lack of shows or bands that I know coming through, but at the same time, with our music festival that we've been doing, I feel really inspired and motivated to bring people to Florida to create those communities that we all hope to be a part of, and as music fans and music lovers. So, but I think that the nature in Florida is absolutely beautiful, and I love that. And I think that it is, instead of thinking of it as an isolation, it could also be a place of refuge if you're looking for it. So sometimes anonymity is good for the creative soul.
This one's perhaps my most open-ended question, so feel free to skip this one if you want, because you've already answered so many questions
I'll do
which
my
are
best.
somewhat similar. But I asked Geese and half of Frankie, how does Kairos Creature Club envision their music in elevating humanity's collective consciousness towards all of us doing good within this one planet that we share together?
Wow. How does our music add to the good of humankind?
Yeah, like or more simply, like, what do you want your musical legacy to be?
Wow. I mean, I don't know if I've ever thought that far out, really.
That's okay.
But I think just kind of coming back to making songs that people can relate to, and how you never know how that's going to impact somebody, or what they're going through, or what's on their mind at that time in their lives, and how you can just feel a sense of kinship with a song or a songwriter without ever having met them or seen them live. Maybe you live somewhere else in the world and you'll never meet them, who knows, but just hearing the right song at the right time can change your mood, can change your day, your month. I think music is just a powerful thing, and if anything that we write can ever change one person's mood or their day, then that's an achievement that I take to heart.
Last question, and then I have a really quick special request.
Okay.
For someone who's not in Orlando, couldn't make it. How does one join the Kairos Creature Club?
All you have to do is come to a show.
Hell
And if you
yeah.
want to be an official member, you can get one of our enamel buttons.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Lena.
Thank you, Kurt.